What's going on, everybody? Charge it up here in the garage with the R6. For today's video, how to set your shift light. Let's go. Did you guys know that you can set your shift light to come on at different times? Well, with the R6, you definitely can. Let me show you how. The shift light, this light right over here, the white one, can be set to come on and go off at different engine speeds. The light can be set to come on between 10,000 RPM and 18,000 RPMs. Okay, before we start, 3 things you need to know. Your key is right over here. I hope you know that. That's your key. This is the select button on top, and this is the reset button underneath it. Step number 1, key needs to be off. Key needs to be off. It can be in there, obviously, because you'll need it. Key needs to be off. Step number 2, with your thumb, push and hold the select button. Step number 3, with your right hand, come and turn on the key. Now, once you turn it on, continue to hold the select button until the display changes. Key on, I'm holding the select button. You see the display here, and right there, the display has changed. At this point, you can let go of the select button with your thumb. All right, so once the display has changed over to this and you've let go of the select button, you can now actually go ahead and adjust the brightness of your display if you wish. You can do that by pressing the reset button, as you can see, like so. Step number 4, we're gonna actually hit the select button one more time. Now at this point, you can choose how you want your shift light to function. To turn on, to flash, or to turn off. Now, as you just saw me do right now with my left hand, you can press the reset button. So this would be light on, light will flash. And when the light does this, when it changes once every couple seconds, this is off. This will be shift light off. I personally like the flashing, so I'm gonna select flashing. Step number 6, once you've chosen what you want, you're gonna hit that select button on the top. This will now take us to the RPM selection mode. At this point, the needle should have jumped up to the 10,000 mark. If it didn't, something went wrong along this process, and you should just restart from step 1, which is the key off. Okay, step number 7, choose the RPM that you want your shift light to come on at. If you want the light to come on at 10,000 RPMs, then all you have to do now is press the select button, which is the top one, and we'll move on to the next step. However, if you want to play around with it and try different RPM settings, you can actually easily cycle through the RPMs by pressing the reset button underneath where my right thumb is. Press the reset button once and the needle will move 500 RPMs to 10,500. Continue to do so. It'll continue moving up until 13,000. Once you hit that 13,000 RPM mark and you hit the reset button, it'll now only move up every 200 RPMs. So as you can see, it takes a little longer now to get up there. Keep going, and it'll actually go all the way up to 18,000. Now, once you hit that 18,000 mark and you press the reset button one more time, it'll actually reset and go right back to 10. So once again, from 10,000 to 13,000, it's gonna move by 500 RPMs. From 13,000 to 18,000, it's gonna move every 200 RPMs. So at this point, you can go ahead and pick the RPM range that you want the light to come on at. I personally want the light to come on at 10,000. I kind of wish it came on at 7 or 8 maybe, but 10,000 is good. 10,000 I'm going to leave it at, and at this point I'm going to make that selection. I'll confirm the selection by now pressing the select button, which is right here with my thumb. Now at this point, as you can see, the needle has jumped to a higher RPM range, and now the light is flashing. This means that this is when you choose what RPM range you want your light to go off at. The slightly flashing light means that this is your setting for when you want the light to go off at. Whatever RPM you choose the light to come on at, the off RPM range needs to be higher in order for this to work. So if you choose 10,000, anything above 10,000 will work. If you chose 14,000 for the light to come on, it has to be higher than 14,000 for the light to go off, and then that way it'll work. In this case, I want mine to go off at 16,000, but again, you can choose whichever you wish. Choose your RPM range that you want your light to go off at by cycling through obviously the RPMs as mentioned previously. Let's go up to 16. 16 is good for me. And then once you've chosen the RPM range that you want to be at, hit that select button to confirm it. So step number 9, confirm your selection by hitting that select button. Now, as you can see on the screen, the needle has dropped back down to 0 and the shift light should stay on. All right, step number 10. You can now adjust the shift light brightness, as you can see the light is on, by pressing the reset button. And as you can see on the screen, there's 1 dot, 2 dot, 3 dot. The higher you go, the higher that light will become. Once you have the brightness that you want, step number 11 will be to once again confirm it by hitting that select button one more time. Once you hit that select button, the display will change back to normal. And in order to get back into that mode, you'll have to start from step 1 once again. Now your shift light will come on at the RPM range that you set it at, and it'll go off at the RPM that you chose. Also, the shift light will either stay lit, flash, or just not work at all depending on the option that you chose in the settings. I personally like the flashing to come on at 10,000 RPMs and then go off at 16,000 RPMs. So you might have seen in some previous videos where I'm riding and I get up to 10,000, light comes on, starts flashing, and then that's your shift point. A shift, and then we start the process all over again. But that is pretty much it. That is how you set the shift light on the R6. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell for future videos with the R6. Until the next one.